By now, you've heard that Donald Trump is trying to cheat in the midterm elections by gerrymandering and redistricting. Surprise, surprise. He got Texas to do it. Now he's getting Missouri to do it. But this state rep in Missouri wasn't having it.
Mr. Speaker, I oppose this bill. Given time and grace by this body, I'd like to explain why. 2 weeks ago, a colleague of mine drove to the middle of Wayne County in my district. We met at a senior center where we met the board president and the director. With a spreadsheet, they explained how last year they fed 40,300 meals to our seniors. On every meal, they lost $1 and a dime. Not only is the director there serving that facility, she works at 4 or 5 others. 32 facilities in southeast Missouri serves more meals than St. Louis and Kansas City combined to our seniors. The struggles they have are amazing. The challenges they've overcome to make sure nobody goes to bed hungry is just of a hero's nature.
This guy is outlining the real problems facing Missouri, and he keeps going by talking about a veteran who was literally taxed out of his home.
I was fortunate enough this summer to serve on the Tax Reform Committee. Sitting in Kansas City, we sat there and heard public testimony for about 5 hours. One that sticks in my mind is a veteran on crutches that come up. And as he spoke, we literally taxed him out of his home. We sent him to the house, somebody that had been wounded in war for our freedom. I could go on, and I won't. But my point being is, the needs are heavy, the list is long. Our plate is full of things that we need to be doing for the people of this state, and this ain't one of them. I thank you for your time, Mr. Speaker.
There you have it. He gets to the point. He says we have a lot of problems and issues we need to deal with in Missouri, and gerrymandering and rigging an election is not one of them. Then a Democrat jumps in and explains how it's unconstitutional.
With all due respect to my colleague, this is unconstitutional. The Missouri Supreme Court agrees. The governor who called us here in the petition agrees. And yet we're doing it anyway. The governor's petition cites specifically Article 3, Section 45 as the power of the legislature to redistrict. And while the sponsor cites to Section 10, that only deals with state legislative redistricting. He cites to a case from 1910 that says that the legislature may from time to time redistrict. However, that's true under the Constitution that existed in 1910, the 1875 Constitution. But under the 1945 Constitution, we removed that language. The fact that the Constitutional Convention in 1945 removed that language is evidence of its unconstitutionality here.
Yeah, and there's a guy bringing facts, which we know Republicans do not like. They removed the language from the most recent state constitution because it was unconstitutional. And he keeps going.
Meanwhile, our schools receive the lowest state funding of any state in the country. And we're going to have a hearing tomorrow to try to strip local funding from the schools as well. The life expectancy in Caruthersville is lower than the life expectancy in Ethiopia. And today, or in this year, we removed $1.5 million designed to keep their only remaining hospital afloat. Utility rates for Missourians have gone up double digits this year. And we passed a bill to make it easier for them to go up in the future. The gap between the haves and the have-nots has never been wider. Today alone, 4 Missourians are going to die of a drug overdose. 4 other Missourians will die by suicide. 3 will die on our highways. 26 will declare bankruptcy. 800 will be laid off or fired. 1 in 4 school districts can't afford to teach kids 5 days a year in Missouri. 1 in 8 Missourians lives in poverty. 1 in 20 woke up this morning hungry, will go to bed hungry tonight, and will wake up tomorrow hungry again.
There you have it. Missouri has a lot of problems, and it seems like this legislature, which is Republican-led, is adding to the problems. And then another guy steps in to finish the argument.
Rising today because the changing the rules and norms mid-game is just blatantly wrong. None of us would tolerate that in our kids' sports teams or t-ball games. I don't understand why it's tolerated here for the leaders within the state. The supermajority had the option to have these same maps 2 years ago. I wasn't here, but many of you voted on no on those. That was the opportunity. 2030 is the opportunity. Would I be for it then? Probably not. But I understand the elections have consequences, and those are the rules of the game we all agreed to. We did not agree to change the rules mid-decade to avoid the potential consequences of policies coming home to a roost from Washington.
So there you have it. The guy's saying you can't just change the rules mid-game, but apparently Republicans think that you can. This all came about because Donald Trump knows that his policies are not popular, that he's failing the American people. Economy's not doing as well as he said it's going to do. Remember he said day one, the egg prices will go down. They did not go down. Prices have gone up. Remember he said tariffs are going to help us. Prices have gone up because of tariffs. Remember he said that people are going to be working, there won't be unemployment. He fired half of the workforce in Washington, D.C., and he's deporting all the immigrants that were working, and he's got low job numbers. And he said he's solved 7 wars. He's not solved 7 wars. He doesn't even know the names of some of the countries that he claims he has helped end the wars with, because there was that war with Azerbaijan and Armenia. I'm sure by now you've seen him several times call it Azerbaijan and Albania. So a lot of his policies stink. He's going after late night talk show hosts, law firms, now James Comey, all of his political opponents. His policies stink. And because of that, he knows that the Republicans stand to lose the majority in the House during the midterms, which, by the way, usually happens. The party in power usually loses their power or loses seats in the midterms, and it's just a normal thing that happens. But in this case, it looks like it could be a bloodbath, and they could lose badly. So Donald Trump wakes up one day and goes, you know what? I tried cheating in 2020 by storming the Capitol and by, trying to get the Secretary of State in Georgia to give me an extra, whatever it was, 11,000 votes or whatever he needed. I've cheated before. Why not cheat now? So he places the call to Governor Abbott in Texas. He says, redistrict, gerrymander. Let's draw the lines in a way so that we will gain seats. And what happens usually when they gerrymander is that they find a way of, let's say the states like this, they're going to draw the line like this. So they take away votes from people of color, or they take away votes from people that might be considered Democrats, because they know that if they can do it in such a way, the district is drawn in such a way that they will gain another seat. Now, usually what's supposed to happen when it comes to redistricting is that every 10 years when we have the census, based upon the population, you either gain more seats in the House, or you lose seats in the House. So, for example, people left California, they went to Texas. All of a sudden, the number of representatives from Texas grew. The number of representatives from California shrunk. That's just how it is. That's the fair way to do it. But again, Republicans are trying to find a way to cheat. So they got Texas to do it. Then you all know Governor Newsom in California said, well, we'll counter it by redistricting over here. But Newsom has put it to a vote, and it's going to be happening in November if the people of California agree to vote for it. But there's going to be a lot of money fighting against it, a lot of misleading information encouraging people not to vote for it. So because the Republicans don't want California to gain those Democratic seats to counter the seats in Texas. And now here we are. Trump then told all these other Republican states, including Missouri, why don't you guys do it? And these states have a supermajority, and so they're able to get it passed through their legislatures. And here we are. Missouri's getting ready to do it. He's asking Indiana to look at it. He's looking at Florida. And on and on and on. And basically what it does is it divides the country more and more. Whereas in the past, we lived in a neighborhood with people of color, with white people, with men, with women, with LGBTQ, with straight, you just name it. People were living together, and the districts might have been drawn in a way that was a little more fair. Now we live in a world where the districts are drawn in this way, and you end up with people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Or you end up with people like Lauren Boebert or Jim Jordan or James Comer, these people that you can't believe are representatives in Congress. Like, they're just dumber than dumb. And yet what happened was they've drawn this district in a way so that their far-right conservative values are admired by or followed by their constituents, and they're basically taking anybody who's got an ounce of critical thinking, and they're redistricting around them and going, all right, let's make it in a way so that we get our majority. And so that's what's going on here. And you have people, you saw the clips. There's a Republican state representative. There's the Democrats. They're basically making the argument, we have real problems in Missouri. There's real problems, and the bigger problem is that this legislature, the supermajority legislature, is not helping their people. And that's why the Republicans are so unpopular. If you look at the big, beautiful bill, for example, that was passed nationally that's supposed to lower taxes, really ultimately all that was a tax break for billionaires. And ultimately, we, the people, end up paying for tariffs, because this whole argument that, oh, tariffs are going to bring in money. The reason they wanted to do tariffs was to show that they're having money coming in to counter the big, beautiful bill giving tax breaks to billionaires. That was part of it. The other part of it was DOGE cutting. They said spending that the government's doing, and that's going to save us money. If you remember in the campaign when our boy Elon showed up with that big chainsaw, and he said, I'm going to cut $2 trillion from the national budget. And he didn't. It was several billions of dollars, but it wasn't nearly close to $2 trillion. So they play these games in order to just enrich themselves. Donald Trump and his kids and his family has made more than they ever could have imagined with their little fake meme coin, whatever Bitcoin they have, the cryptocurrency they have, with all the deals they're getting from overseas. They're just enriching themselves, and they're going to places like Missouri where people, like you saw that gentleman say, are getting kicked out of their homes because they're being taxed so much. There's people the elderly aren't being fed. Schools are suffering. On and on and on and on. And rather than dealing with that stuff and saying, let's help our constituents, they are making it harder. And now they're redistricting so that their unpopular agenda remains in power. Usually the democracy is where the people choose their representatives. When you gerrymander, the representatives are choosing their people. And that's just going to divide this country more and more and more. It's not a good idea for anyone. If we stick to the rules and we do it every 10 years when the census comes out based on population, that's how it should be done. This is now a situation that has been happening for a while. And if we're going to play tit for tat, then you're going to end up with states like, Illinois or Washington or New York trying to gerrymander, and everyone starts suffering. And that's the other thing that Republicans aren't thinking about, which is what'll happen is if we counter it, eventually, I don't know who will end up with more, but we can keep going. We can keep playing this game. And if nothing else, Donald Trump has divided this country, and he wants to divide it even more by pulling stunts like this. Because if his policies were popular, he wouldn't need it, because then the Republican members of Congress in the midterms could go to their homes and say, look, we did a good job. We've kept democracy alive. We're not an authoritarian state. We've helped build from the bottom up and helped enrich people in the middle class and the lower class. They've done none of that. They've done everything except that. And they continue to basically put their head in the sand. Anything that comes up, the Epstein files, head in the sand. They don't want to deal with any of that stuff. And that's why they're going to their homes and they're holding these town halls, and they're getting yelled at the town halls with their own constituents saying, why aren't you standing up for us? Why are you bowing down to this dictator? And here we are now in Missouri. Missouri is most likely going to pass this redistricting. And again, it's going to be a ping pong game, tit for tat, tit for tat. And what does that do to America? It just divides us more and more, because we are not letting voices be democratically heard. We should be living in districts where we have people from different backgrounds all voting together. That's how you start getting more and more representatives that are closer to the center as opposed to further and further to either side. So redistricting is not a good thing. The Republican guy said it, the Democrats said it, you know it, I know it, but Trump is cheating again. What else is new? What else is new? Well, I don't know, folks. What will tomorrow bring? I just hope that you all stay vigilant. You make sure that you get yourselves out to the polling stations, get your friends to go vote. This is all for the midterms. We got to start thinking about it now because they're going to try and steal the election and continue to give Donald Trump a Republican House and Senate that do nothing to stop him and his dictatorial ways. Guys, I'm comedian Maz Jobrani. I've got a YouTube channel right here. Give it a follow. Let me know you found me on Rebel HQ. I post comedy clips all the time. Hope you enjoy them. I'm also on tour. Come see me live and keep hope alive.